guys, welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today I want to talk about five sports watches that I think will be future icons. Now before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing my GirardPerregaux Laureato Evo 3. Absolutely love this bad boy. Is it going to make the list? Watch and find out. And also fellas, bunch of cool watches just came in at Delray Watch. We got a Rolex OP green dial, never worn, full box, full papers. Pretty hard to get nowadays. We got in a Blancpain 50 fathoms with the box and service papers, cheapest one in the country, go check it out. And a very special watch, the GP Orion with an aventurine night sky dial. The dial looks like a starry night. It's made out of a hard gemstone called aventurine, very similar to my H. Moser Perpetual Moon. Very cool watch. Don't sleep on this one. And all at delraywatch.com. Link in the description below. So yeah, guys, watch icons. Rolex Submariner, Breitling Navitimer, JLC Reverso, Patek Nautilus. The watches that are ubiquitous with luxury watches. You know, watches that people know just like that, particularly if you're a watch geek. It's hard to become an iconic watch. It takes years of popularity, and it takes the brand not messing it up with a shitty redesign. But I do think there are a few watches that might be popular and aren't icons. Because remember, a popular watch is not an icon. What's a great example? Popular watch that is not an icon. A Breguet Marine, popular watch, not an icon. Breguet Type 20, popular watch, not an icon. JLC Master Control or Master Compressor, popular watches, but not an icon. These are five watches I think are on the brink of becoming iconic and that you should probably look into. This list is in no particular order. The first one is the Grand Seiko Snowflake. Grand Seiko, the brand probably making the most waves in recent times, and their most iconic model, the Snowflake, with that special textured dial and featuring their spring drive technology, which, love it or hate it, is kind of one of Grand Seiko's calling cards. Now, of course, I was a self-proclaimed Grand Seiko hater. I have since warmed up to the brand. Fantastic quality, getting more popular every day. People are opening their eyes, and guess what? The Snowflake is Grand Seiko's most iconic piece. So I think Grand Seiko becoming much more popular with the masses. The Snowflake is, of course, going to be that iconic piece. Next, the Tudor Black Bay. No, Tudor Black Bay is not already iconic, and no, Tudor has never made an icon, always known as the cheaper Rolex. And it kind of still is, but the Black Bay is almost a more youthful Submariner. It's a Submariner with more heritage inspiration and more daring design. Tudor now has exploded, much bigger than Tudor ever was in the past, and it's being led by the Black Bay. Now, I think particularly the Black Bay 58 is going to be the most iconic, but whether you like Tudor or not, it's hard to argue with the fact that the Black Bay is probably one of the most popular models in the entire watch market, not only in Tudor, but in the world. It's close to iconic status. Next, a brand that got saved by this model, the Bulgari Octo. Bulgari, watches that were selling for 5 to 7 cents on the dollar until this Octo came out. Daring design, in-house movements, entirely avant-garde. I don't particularly like it. I think it's pretty ugly, but people did love it. The brand did something special, and it's redesigned Bulgari's DNA. I mean, this watch and model has pretty much saved Bulgari from the brink, and I think it is going to become an iconic sports watch. Next, a brand that has a ton of icons. Not the Daytona by Rolex, not the Submariner by Rolex, but one of Rolex's cheapest models and one of Rolex's models that nobody gave a crap about until 5 years ago, the Rolex OP. I think the new dials on the Oyster Perpetuals are going to propel this into an iconic status. A brand made almost entirely up of icons. But I remember when I worked at retail and the OP was only in 36 and had those tired dials, hell, couldn't even give it away. Bosses would pretty much buy it for their secretaries because it was the cheapest Rolex. And now the OP, which is still the least expensive Rolex, is extremely desirable. Will I think it hits icon status? Absolutely. Those colors are recognizable enough to be iconic in my opinion. And last but not least, and one that maybe I am entirely biased about, is the GirardPerregaux Laureato. Not the Evo 3, which is the old design, but the new one. Yes, I love the brand. Yes, I own the brand. And I fully admit I want it to be an icon because I think it's so massively undervalued that people are sleeping on it. But what can we say? This came right after the Royal Oak. It was designed before the Nautilus, I believe, and it has a ton of distinctive features. And not quite a Royal Oak, not quite a Nautilus, almost a marriage of the two, but GirardPerregaux, a brand since the 1700s with a ton of cachet and history. Sports watch, which is kind of saving the brand as well. GirardPerregaux never really popular in the US, but the Laureato by far their most popular model. I think it slowly could creep up into iconic status, even though I fully admit it's still pretty far from that right now. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.